Hello, I'm the Resolute Cartographer, and this is the 30th video of my Fallout 76 Surveyal series, covering Hunter's Ridge. On the map, here we are, just to the west of Alpine River Cabins, southeast of Point Pleasant, northwest of Flatwoods, and southwest of Vault 76. Okay, so this place was about 30% pre-war, 70% post-war in terms of construction. Oh, trap. Watch out for those. Those are here for a lore reason, so we'll get to that in a moment. Now I will note that I've been here a couple times before, and as such the notes are in my inventory, but I will show you exactly where you can find them. There are 3 notes here. Okay, so first of all we got 4 tree houses, really 3, because I mean these 2 are pretty much combined with each other. Ramps to get up to the top of them, one over there and one over here. And then along with that there is a whole butchering area, eating area, and if you look down the hill over here, there's a whole little observation deck down there and one up here. There's also these nice little rock sculptures you can find all over the place. Not really sculptures, monuments? I don't really know the way to describe that. Where you stack stones, because they're obviously not carving anything, so it's not a sculpture. Anyway though, right over here we have some wood, antlers, an armor working bench. Got a little tanning section over here, some tents. Dead radstag hanging from the tree here that you can loot meat from, because apparently that's still fresh enough. This is the eating area, and there's a bear-proof trash can here. Cooking area and butchering area, and that's where we have a yaguai, a radstag head, another radstag head, or possibly an actual deer head, and more radstag antlers, a stove with some fuel next to it, and an explosives container. And that is about it for the ground area. I mean, there is this bulletin board right over here, and then along with that there is that little gazebo, but we'll come back to that at the very end. Well, not quite the very end, but close to the end. So let's go to where the first note is that I will read you, and that's right over here on this platform, on top of this barrel right here, and that is the unsent letter. Dearest Emily, I managed to find a few other survivors scavenging in Sutton. They're hiding out in the woods until this whole thing blows over. Told them I used to be an avid hunter, so they invited me back to their camp. They seem like decent people, mostly. Woke up this morning and saw Ethan and Carson building a spike pit down at the bottom of the cliff. I asked them why they were building it, and they said it was for protection. Seriously? How the hell is a giant spike pit gonna help us? I think those guys are trying to lose it, but whatever. It keeps them occupied. In other news, Madison made some fantastic stew last night. I asked her what her secret was, and she told me the extra head. I'll come to look for you soon, I promise. Dylan. Okay, so that is actually a very interesting note because it shows a lot about the early part of the apocalypse, because this site was definitely set up before the spawners moved into the area. That's one of the interesting parts about the site is it's completely unaffiliated. There are no responders tags, no raiders tags, anything like that. But there, in fact, were basically settler survivors and raider survivors that ended up emerging from this camp in the end. And so, one of the ways you can tell this is early is because in that note he says, waiting until this whole thing blows over. The only time people really thought it was just going to blow over was in the very early days. So likely this camp was set up sometime in 2078 to 2079. So, let's head on up this path over here. And then over the right here. Up this hillside. Watch out for the punji board. This guy clearly did not. Up the first ramp. And here is a nice can chimes thing. 9 things of lead, 9 things of steel. Very nice loot. Dead scorched up here. I should have mentioned that there were scorched here when I first showed up. In fact, in the 4 or 5 times I've been to this location during my playthrough of Fallout 76, there have always been scorched here, so I think they are the only enemy that spawns here. We'll take a look around here. We got a lantern on a table there, some sacks, a bedroll, and some antlers. Okay, so let's head across this first bridge. We're going to go around this counterclockwise. And we have more sacks. Along with that, a first aid kit. Toolbox, antlers, broom, and yet another bed. Head down here to the next treehouse. Got a duffel bag that's usually full of cash. A supply area here. Another one of these swinging can chimes. Another dead scorched. Okay. And we'll take a look around the corner here where we have another bed, some beer bottles, an empty crate. Well, not empty this time, I guess. Some junk in it, a radio, and some more junk over on that table, cigarettes and a lighter. Crossing this last bridge, we come across to where we find a bear rug that is drinking some wine, along with more wine bottles, a coin-operated thing of binoculars right here, a ham radio, and then right over here with this TV with antlers, there's a couch. And this is where you find the second note, Hunter's Journal. Last night, Carson caught some lost couple out in the woods poaching one of our traps. I told him they didn't mean anything by it, but he wouldn't listen. He tied them up and made them walk the plank that him and Ethan built last week. I thought he was just going to scare them a little bit, but before I knew it, he had shoved them both off down into the pit below. This is getting scary now. All day, they listen to that crazy woman on the radio. They won't shut up about that place to the east. They say they have supplies and shelter, but we're doing just fine here. I really wish those two would just leave already. So, let's find out who they were listening to on the radio. Right here, Rose's Raider Radio.
Hey everyone, I'm getting pretty bored up here. If you can set off some nice explosions to let me know you're thinking of me, I'll be sure to find a way to thank you. Of course, don't get your hopes up. What do you think I'm loaded up here? Just ready to give out presents like I'm Santa Claus or something? No, you'll get the mild appreciation of a psychotic...
Of course, back at the time they were listening, that was actually Rosalind Jeffries, the living human raider, rather than Rose the robot raider boss. But anyway, let's head down this ramp. And then right on over here to where you find the last note, right next to this booby-trapped explosives crate with a grenade bouquet in front of it. And we'll read the last note that you find here, which is Hunter's Warning. Warning. If anyone is reading this, this place isn't safe anymore. I don't know what's going on up at the Pleasant Valley Ski Resort, but not long after Ethan and Carson left to join them, a group of men showed up and attacked our camp. I know Ethan was one of them. Even through that gas mask, I could recognize that cough of his. I can't say where we're headed, but we've rigged the place with traps in case those assholes decide to come back. So, again, this was the forming point for a group of survivors and a couple of raiders, Ethan and Carson, who ended up going up to the Pleasant Valley Ski Resort and becoming raiders and leading the raiders back here to attack their fellow survivors who had been living here at this camp. And it's really just a sign of how the different mindsets of people led them into different groups after the war. Now down here we have a tent. There are some Nuka-Cola bottles in these crates. Some just random crates over here, lantern, another crate of junk. And another one of those binoculars that's operated by coins. Out here on this, we find the plank they had created. And the pit of spikes. Let's take this look at this. Alright, so we got skeletons. And a Brahmin skull there. More skulls on these spikes. A teddy bear that ended up getting impaled. And yeah, this very clearly was not for defense, because this is at the base of a sheer cliff. No one would be climbing this thing up, nor would this really stop anybody from getting through it. I mean, you can walk right through this. I mean, obviously this would be much more dangerous right here, but yeah, no one's climbing this cliff. So I think this is, again, is a very interesting little site, just because of the way it shows the early apocalypse. But anyway, I think that'll do it for Hunter's Ridge. This has been the Look Cartographer. If you want to see more videos in this series, hit the subscribe button. If you want to get notifications as to when these videos become available, hit the notification bell. If you liked it, hit the like button. And if you have any comments or questions, leave them for me and I'll try to get back to you. Thanks for watching.